Jack was a stray dog. He had no home, he was always hungry, he spent his days searching for scraps. One day a snowstorm hit. Jack shivered in the cold. He needed shelter. He needed food. He was losing hope. The wind howled around him. Jack knew he had to find somewhere safe. He couldn't survive the night out here. He kept walking. He had to keep moving to stay warm. Would he ever find a home? Through the swirling snow, Jack saw a light. It was coming from a house, a small house, with smoke curling from its chimney. He slowly approached. His legs ached, his stomach growled. He was so tired. He climbed the porch steps. Then he lay down by the door. Maybe someone would hear him. He whimpered softly. He closed his eyes, hoping for a miracle. He drifted in and out of sleep. The cold was seeping into his bones. Suddenly Jack heard a noise. The door creaked open. A kind face peered down at him. "Well, hello there, little fella," a gentle voice said. "You look frozen. Come in, come in." Jack wagged his tail weakly. He stood up and walked inside. The house was warm. It smelled like freshly baked cookies. "You're safe now," the man said. "I'm Henry. But you can call me Mr. Henry." He smiled down at Jack. into Mr. Henry's life, and Mr. Henry had given Lucky the home and love he had always longed for. Together, they faced each day with happiness and gratitude, knowing that they had found something truly special in each other. To save his friend. Finally, Mr. Henry woke up. He coughed, choking on the smoke. He saw the flames. He was disoriented. He was scared. Lucky grabbed Mr. Henry's shirt sleeve. He pulled with all his might. He dragged Mr. Henry towards the door. They stumbled out of the house just as the fire trucks arrived. The firefighters put out the fire. Mr. Henry was safe, thanks to Lucky. "You saved my life, boy," Mr. Henry said, hugging Lucky tightly. "You're a true hero." Mr. Henry had to go to the hospital. It was a sudden and unexpected event that shook the entire neighborhood. The fire had started in the middle of the night, and by the time the fire department arrived, the house was already engulfed in flames. Mr. Henry, an elderly man living alone, had been trapped inside. The neighbors watched in horror as the firefighters battled the blaze, hoping and praying for his safety. He had inhaled a lot of smoke. The paramedics quickly administered oxygen and rushed him to the nearest hospital. The damage to his lungs was severe and he needed immediate medical attention. The doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to stabilize him, but the road to recovery was going to be long and arduous. Lucky refused to leave his side. Lucky, Mr. Henry's loyal dog, had been his constant companion for years. They had been through thick and thin together, and this was no different. Lucky had been found by the firefighters, frantically trying to get back into the burning house to be with his owner. His determination and loyalty were evident to everyone who saw him. He whimpered and pawed at Mr. Henry's hand. The hospital staff was initially hesitant to allow a dog in the hospital, But Lucky's devotion was undeniable. He stayed by Mr. Henry's side, offering comfort and companionship in a way that no human could. His presence seemed to have a calming effect on Mr. Henry, who would often reach out to pet him, finding solace in the familiar touch of his furry friend. The nurses were amazed by Lucky's devotion. They made an exception. They saw how much Mr. Henry's condition improved with Lucky around. The bond between the two was something special, something that transcended the usual patient-pet relationship. It was clear that Lucky was more than just a pet. He was a lifeline for Mr. Henry. They let Lucky stay in the room with Mr. Henry. The hospital staff arranged a special bed for Lucky right next to Mr. Henry's. They made sure that both of them were comfortable and that Lucky had everything he needed. The sight of the two of them together brought smiles to the faces of everyone who passed by. Lucky curled up on the bed beside Mr. Henry. He didn't sleep. He was vigilant, always watching over his friend. His eyes never left Mr. Henry, and he seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. He knew that his friend needed him now more than ever. He kept watch over his friend. The nights were long and filled with uncertainty, but Lucky's presence provided a sense of security. He was a silent guardian, always alert and ready to offer comfort. His loyalty was unwavering, and his love for Mr. Henry was evident in every action. He was determined to keep him safe. Lucky's determination was inspiring. He never left Mr. Henry's side, not even for a moment. He was a constant source of strength and comfort, and his presence made a world of difference in Mr. Henry's recovery. Mr. Henry smiled down at Lucky. Despite the pain and the uncertainty, there was a sense of peace in knowing that he was not alone. Lucky's unwavering loyalty and love were a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. "Don't worry, boy," he whispered. His voice was weak, but the words were filled with gratitude. He knew that Lucky had saved his life. Not just by alerting the neighbors to the fire, but by being there for him every step of the way. "I'm going to be all right, thanks to you." The bond between Mr. Henry and Lucky was unbreakable. They had faced a life-threatening situation together and come out stronger on the other side. Their story was a testament to the power of love and loyalty, and it touched the hearts of everyone who heard it. After a few days, Mr. Henry was well enough to go home. He was so happy to be reunited with Lucky. He knew he was lucky to be alive. "You're more than just a pet, Lucky," Mr. Henry said, scratching Lucky behind the ears. "You're my best friend. You're my family." They sat together on the porch swing that evening. Mr. Henry sipped his tea. Lucky rested his head on Mr. Henry's lap. They watched the sunset. They were together, and that's all that mattered. Lucky had been a stray dog, lost and alone, but then he found Mr. Henry, and his life changed forever. He had found a home. He had found love. The story reminds us that love and loyalty know no bounds. Animals love unconditionally. They're our companions. They are our protectors. They are our family. So cherish your pets. Love them. Protect them. They are a gift. And their love is a gift in return. A gift that will last a lifetime.